Druid. Smexin gonna be making that debut on his warrior today.
Yeah, we've seen Smexin used in this tournaments before, and if I'm being honest, a lot of the matchups Smexin played in, they kind of bring him in when they're not playing that RMP, and it doesn't necessarily work out for them. That being said, Smexin is a phenomenal player. I think Method Black is going to do very well in this matchup. This isn't a matchup I've actually ever seen played out before. Gates have opened for game number 1 between Method Black and Synergy Reborn.
Yeah, and I haven't seen it either, and I guess it really just goes to show that Synergy Reborn with that Feral Prot Disc Priest feel very comfortable against RMPs. So Method Black saying, no, we don't want to RMP into this blind pick. We're going to use that Demon Hunter Warrior, and they think they can counter this, because that's a pretty obvious choice here from Synergy Reborn. We've seen a lot of them playing that recently, but immediately Samayam and Smexin jumping in onto Colo to start off this action.
Yeah, and we'll have to see what kind of pressure they can generate at this point of the game.
Gorecki immediately gets bashed, and Colo's spamming out those smites to try to get the counter heals in there and a little bit of that damage. The Stormbolt coming out onto Kaldurg now as he goes about 50% life. And Samayam's taking some pressure as well. Now the silence coming out on the Gorecki. Samayam 50% life, definitely very scary. Double fear here onto Bean and to Kaldurg now.
Yep, Kaldurg and Bean both getting lower and lower. Nice pressure coming in from Method Black very early on. This is the incarnation from Kaldurg as well, but they really can't get anything going. And Method Black, I think, has chosen a very good composition. Who does Synergy Reborn go on? Gorecki's going to be very difficult to kill on that Druid. Smexin is an Arms Warriors with that D-stance. You have Samayam, on the Demon Hunter with lots of mobility. Big pressure coming in from Method Black on the Synergy Reborn, and they're forced to play defensive.
Yeah, I would definitely favor Method Black here in this matchup, and that was the Incarn from Kaldurg. Kaldurg actually popping another wall as well to sustain his own life. Bean and Kaldurg taking the damage. Now they're the ones riding, even though they have the Prot Paladin on their team. Now the silence coming out on the Gorecki, the mind control on the Smexin. Samayam's in a little bit of trouble. Bean casting out the Splash of Lights, trying to top himself back off. This seems to be a pretty close matchup right now. The mana from both healers are pretty much even, about 90%. There's triple CC coming up from Method Black with the Storm Bolts and the stun onto Bean and Kaldurg there. Colo gets interrupted, but it looks like things have stabilized for now.
Yep, there's a maim onto Samayam, a little bit of damage onto him, but Synergy Reborn really struggling to find pressure. There's the full Repentance coming in from Bean over onto Gorecki. It gets reversed there by Samayam, so on that Demon Hunter, he's going to be able to get off those long CC chains. Another thing that's very important for Method Black's composition is Samayam with that reverse magic, able to get Gorecki out of the CC chains that Synergy Reborn, quite frankly, relies on in order to land a kill.
Yeah, but now Colo going into that Stormbolt still has a lot of defensive cooldowns to sift through from Bean and himself with that power and pain suppression, the powered barrier as well. Now the full Cyclone from Gorecki landing on the Colo. Love the Cyclones coming up from Gorecki. When he can't actually land them, Kaldurg's getting very low. He only has one wall available, so Kaldurg seems to be kind of the best kill option for Samayam and Smexin. Now another minute, 15 seconds until that Incarnation's available, and that's really what offensively Synergy Reborn is looking for, that Incarnation with the increased damage from Bean coming out, so Bean and Kaldurg can connect on a target and really bleed them down once dampening kicks in.
Yeah, Smexin putting out so much damage with Samayam. That's really what he's known for. Anytime he plays a melee, the other team is under immense pressure. Colo's mana still in not a bad spot though, but Synergy Reborn just, they don't really have a target to go on. Like I said, Kaldurg once again getting lower and lower. The fear going out onto Colo as well as Bean. Kaldurg down to 50% HP. He has to kite away. He's in bear form right now, just trying to avoid some of that damage. Bash over onto Samayam, trying to slow that down as well. But Synergy Reborn trying to find some pressure onto Samayam. Gorecki just not in any crowd control, hasn't had to use any defensive abilities the entire game. This is looking so good for Method Black.
And as Kaldurg gets very low, he does pop that second wall cooldown. He actually has another one coming back up, so he's rotating them through them very nicely. But Bean and Kaldurg still taking just so much damage from Samayam and Smexin. If I had to guess, as this game goes on, Samayam and Smexin are just going to completely out-damage Bean and Kaldurg here. They're looking to get that full Hammer of Justice onto Gorecki. Gorecki does pre-bear form it though. Beautiful job. As he comes out of that, his artifact ability fades. He does get silenced up, but Samayam and Smexin completely topped off from Gorecki. Gorecki handling the situation so nicely.
Yeah, big damage on the Bean though. Stormbolt on a Colo. Could they get out his bubble? Well, it doesn't look like it. Bean's going to be able to survive. He has a lot of defensive cooldowns he can rely on, but what's happening in this game is very unsustainable for Synergy Reborn. As dampening gets higher and higher, Bean's healing is going to be lower. They're going to be able to force out those defensive cooldowns very quickly, so this is very dangerous for Synergy Reborn. Sam I Am finally taking a little bit of pressure. Silence into Rake Stun over on a Gorecki as he gets swapped to. He's not in bear form for this one. Barskin forced out Sam I Am using the darkness as well. So that was very nicely done by Synergy Reborn, finding some pressure with that incarnation used out by Kaldurg.
That was a great job there by Sam I Am, realizing that Gorecki did not actually shift that one, throwing out the darkness at high HP so he doesn't actually have to spend that mana to heal through it. Now the Iron Bark coming out as well to stabilize Method Black, but Synergy Reborn, Bean, and Kaldurg still have 50%. This is the incarnation from Kaldurg. Tons of offensive pressure coming out with those bleeds, but you know, as this game's going on, Synergy Reborn is going to have a harder and harder time healing through this, but Bean and Kaldurg have so many cooldowns to rotate through. As you can see, multiple bubbles, pain suppression.
Big stuns coming in from Sam I Am. He gets maimed on that though. Nice pressure coming in from Method Black. That's the metamorphosis from Sam I Am. Fell Barrage as well as Bean gets lower and lower. Nice Cyclone coming in from Gorecki. Gets hodged up though. In the meantime, Silence coming in. Synergy Reborn looking to turn around the pressure. It looks like onto Smexen, but that D-stand's going to be enough to deflect a lot of those attacks. And now Colo's under fire with the Blood Elf Silence coming in from Sam I Am. Bean trying to help him out, but everyone from Synergy Reborn is rotting down.
I cannot believe the spread pressure coming in from Method Black. Everyone on Synergy Reborn's about 50% life, and they've been that way for like a solid minute now. Method Black doing a great job of just hitting whatever target they can. They know if they keep up this spread pressure, they keep up the DPS and dampening, they are going to come out ahead, and dampening is 4% now. It's just kicking in as the bash comes in on the Kaldurg. Colo and Bean trying to do their best job to sustain their team right now, but it doesn't really look like they can do it. Everyone's dropping a little bit below 50% life, and Bean going to use some defensive cooldowns to keep himself alive.
Yeah, Colo just spamming out the heals, but he gets interrupted once again. And Smexen, of course, on that Arms Warrior. He has the Sharpened Blade. Another triple stun coming in from Sam I Am as he rolls over and actually gets the diffuse magic over on a Gorecki as well. So able to get him out of that crowd control with that reverse magic. Sam I Am keeping his team aggressive, but it looks like the new target of choice for Synergy Reborn is Smexen. He still has the die by the sword, so he should be fine. Bean trying to get out those repentances as well. That CC on a Gorecki, but Gorecki just still has a trinket, still has Iron Bark, still has everything. And Synergy Reborn, although they've caught up a little, still in a very dangerous situation. Yeah,
and they've seemed to stabilize just a little bit. That's the Rapture from Colo to throw out the Power Word shields onto Bean, Kaldurg, and himself to really just sustain their own life bars for right now. But look at Method Black, guys. They've been perma full HP this entire game. They still have every defensive cooldown. As a Stormbolt coming out on the Colo, he's 40% life, 30% life, barely sustaining himself. Does get a couple Shadowments off, tops himself back off. And this is scary. This is scary for Synergy Reborn because defensively, Method Black has everything except that darkness, which comes back up in about 25 seconds. But Kaldurg taking a ton of damage, using that last wall. Actually might have one more after this, around 50% life.
Yeah, but Smexen getting lower and lower as well. That Hodge, finally Synergy Reborn able to find some pressure onto Sam I Am and Smexen. But like you said, Gorecki still has everything left in terms of defense. Colo gets imprisoned there as well. So Sam I Am just trying to slow down those heals. Maybe they didn't have any interrupts for him. They just wanted to slow him down so he wasn't able to top himself off before they can reconnect. But Gorecki is struggling to keep Smexen alive at this point. Doesn't trade out the Iron Bark, but uses his artifact weapon. Kaldurg getting low as well. This is the Incarnation. This is Synergy Reborn's opportunity to get some pressure. Incarnation at 15% dampening. Very, very scary. Darkness going to be traded out by Sam I Am. I like that trade. Able to keep himself and Smexen aggressive. Obviously, Synergy Reborn's not going to have an easy time getting over to Gorecki, who's just 40 yards away behind the pillar.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, this is Synergy Reborn's win condition. The Incarnation in deep dampening with the Prot Paladin and that Feral Druid damage really complementing each other is how Bean and Kaldurg are going to score a kill. But look at this. Gorecki's healing through it like it's no problem at all. And on top of that, Method Black is turning the pressure back onto Bean. Now that Imprison coming out with a full fear now on Colo. He trinkets immediately into that stun from the Demon Hunter. So much damage coming back out from the other side. The Stormbolt on the Kaldurg as well. 50% life. Bean goes into another stun. This is crazy good for Method Black right now.
Yeah, 20% dampening as Bean gets lower and lower. He still has the bubble available. Colo just spamming out the Shadowmans over and over to keep his team alive. Mana in favor of Colo at this point in the game, but like I said, this is very unsustainable for Synergy Reborn. They're compromised heavily on Bean with his off heals and his defensive cooldowns. They're going to be able to get those very quickly as that healing gets lower and lower. Smexen still just chopping up Kaldurg, trying to keep up that pressure. Kaldurg kiting away, Maim over onto Sam I Am. There's a full stun, Stormbolt onto Colo. Metamorphosis comes in from Sam I Am. Decent pressure over on Kaldurg, but he's just in bear form, able to kite through. And Smexen still just getting lower and lower. Iron Bark's going to be forced out there by Gorecki. And with the way this game's playing out, Smexen could actually be a very viable kill target later on.
He still has that die by the sword, still has that rallying cry, but he is under half HP for the first time this entire entire game. Bean now constantly going for those repentances, and that's really what we want to keep an eye out here. The repentances on Gorecki.
Yeah, big bash over on Gorecki. They get some pressure, but he doesn't even trade out the bark skin. Doesn't look like they wanted to commit. There's the double Chaos Nova coming in from Samayam onto Bean, as well as Kaldurg. Kaldurg's going to be fine. He trades out a survival instincts. Bean's going to be fine as well in the situation, but it's up to Colo now. He has to play catch-up. Samayam making it difficult with the interrupt, with the Blood Elf silence. Finally, Colo's in a position where he can get those heals out. Gorecki very far away once again, doesn't want to be in on the action, just wants to avoid the Hodges, avoid the repentances, so we can keep those hots on his team.
Kaldurg now has no walls available, and he's been floating around 40% life for a while now. Kaldurg really the target I think is going to go down. Colo now getting stunned up though, has that pain suppression if he wants to use it. Some defensive cooldowns from the Prot Paladin still available, but he does decide to use that powered barrier instead, trying to put himself back off, but he does get kicked, and he's trying to get up the Shadow Mends, finally lands some healing to top himself back off.
Yeah, not completely topped though, still in a little bit of trouble as Smexen and Samayam are still all over him. Bean and Kaldurg cannot leave them alone. They have enough interrupts to take him down. Discipline Priest is going to be difficult with those multiple schools of magic, but interrupt after interrupt coming in. Chaos Nova as well. Colo trinkets out, pain suppression forced out. That's the Thorns, pain suppression, everything from Colo to keep himself alive. But Smexen gets low. Gorecki trades out the Ironbark. Dive of the Sword still available. That very key Arms Warrior defensive cooldown. Dampening is at 32%. Both these teams running out of time.
Yeah, 32, 33% dampening, and look at the defensive cooldowns from Method Black. They have everything. The Dive by the Sword, the Rallying Cry, the Darkness, the skins. It's looking fantastic for Method Black. I would definitely put them ahead here as the entire team of Synergy Reborn is rotting down. Now Bean still has those bubbles available, using the Forgotten Queen to kind of give his partners that immunity, but Colo gets interrupted. That's the Darkness from Samayam as well, but Method Black completely topped off. This game is going to end soon.
Yeah, Colo's in so much trouble. Smexen and Samayam all over him. Interrupt after interrupt once again. Freedom out onto Colo. He's trying to kite away. Manages to get away for a second, but Samayam's still there. Stormbolt connects as well. Blood Elf silence. Everything onto Colo. Can they take him down? Almost into execute range. Finally, Gorecki charges in. War Stomp is going to seal the deal, and Method Black looking so good in this game number one. I really feel like they have found an answer for this Prot Pally cleave that Synergy Reborn has to offer.
Samayam's going to Blood Elf Racial Colo. Smexen's going to go ahead and follow that up with a Stormbolt. And then this is probably my favorite part of the entire game. Look at Gorecki. Comes in, follows it up with the War Stomp, brings out the staff, and whacks Colo with his
bash
staff one time. And then the triple DR bash as well. And then they're going to be able to put Method Black in the advantage comp-wise.
Yeah, this is very comfortable for Method Black. They've brought a very powerful composition now. Synergy Reborn, can they respond? Game number 2 about to start. Method Black up 1-0 in the series. This is such a crucial series for both these teams. If either of them get eliminated, they are not going to the spring finals.
Two things I want to point out right away is that Bean is playing Nemesis, so he's going to have a ton of all-in offensive pressure. And Samayam's actually looks like he's playing Mana Break, so he knows that Colo loves to get very offensive with those purges and wisely chooses Mana Break to really counter him for that.
Oh, all in on the Smexen. You can tell Colo's just going to be spamming out those purges over and over. Look at him. Purge after purge after purge. Darkness gets dropped out by Samayam. That's a decent trade, but Bean's still going to have so much damage. That was a Dive by the Sword as well. The only thing Method Black really has to fall back on is that Ironbark cooldown.
Yep, and that was the Nemesis from Bean being committed as well. Colo under some pressure, now popping that Ascendance and Wall to top himself back off. Now Smexen playing line of sight with Gorecki. The Paralyze comes out, but it breaks immediately from that AoE damage from Bean. Now the Double Fear coming out from Method Black, kind of just reset things. And they know if they survive, they win, because Colo's mana is already at 50%.
Yeah, look at Colo just charging in. A lot of pressure. This is exactly what Samayam and Smexen need to do. They need to pressure down Colo as he gets lower and lower into execute range. Darkness gets dropped out by Bean to keep him alive. Colo still has a Spirit Link totem, but look at his mana. It's already down to 30% mana, and like you said, Samayam, he has the Mana Break. He's going to be able to punish that. Big pressure coming in from Method Black. Looks like Smexen has been able to survive at this point in the game. He's in battle stance, still needs to kite away, disarm over on the Bean. What's so important in this situation is that Smexen and Gorecki line of sight Colo, so he cannot get off those purges.
Method Black lives another minute or so. They are going to win this game. Smexen knows this, and he's playing incredibly defensive. He has that Rallying Cry still available. Colo out of mana now already. His entire team dropping about 50% life. Still has that Spirit Link totem, but it's not going to do much. Now Kaldurg peeling the team with Fist of Fury, using that Touch of Karma as well. The triple stuns now coming out from Method Black. There's the bash on the Bean into that full Cyclone. Colo's in so much trouble. Once that Mana Break comes back from Samayam, they're going to be able to burst Colo down.
And look at Smexen. Actually, Samayam is the one that's taking most of the burst. There's the Incapacitate onto Gorecki. Samayam, he's on the Demon Hunter. He's going to be able to kite away. He needs to use that Demon Hunter mobility to keep himself alive. Smexen finally isn't scared anymore. He's saying, you know what? You've trained me long enough. My turn. He strikes fights back, putting big pressure over on the Bean as well as Calder. Calder doesn't have the touch of Karma. Colo has no mana. He gets interrupted. Spirit Link Totem gets dropped out. Smexon in the battle stance. He wants to close out this game. Method Black looking to claim game number 2, but the double Chaos Nova comes in. Samayam gets lower and lower. Gorecki trades out the Iron Bark, and now Calder eventually gets taken down. Method Black looking winnable, but it definitely seems very difficult.
Seems like they went a little bit too all in to me. I mean, Synergy Reborn was out of mana within like a minute or two, and the thing
to send Synergy Reborn home and advance in this tournament. Both these teams, like we said earlier, they need to win this series if they want any chance of going to the spring finals. This could potentially be the last game of this series. Method Black is going to have to do an excellent job of defense if they want to survive this all-in strategy coming in from Synergy Reborn.
Synergy Reborn running in, Grayson getting offensive like immediately onto Samayam and Smexon, throwing out those arcane explosions to get some orbs stacked up. Bean throwing out the bleeds onto Samayam and Smexon. Now we're looking at some CC setups. There's a full kitty shot on the Samayam. There it is. There's the Iron Bark committed from Gorecki.
Yeah, still big damage on the Samayam. Blur is forced out. Iron Bark as well. So that's a lot of damage, but that's all the offensive cooldowns coming in from Synergy Reborn. Is Colo going to look to go really aggressive? Doesn't look like it. Smexon's going to keep up the pressure, and I like what Method Black is doing. They're making sure Colo has to play very defensive in this situation. Grayson's going to have to peel if he wants to keep Colo alive. Colo casting out those healing surges. No interrupts available for Method Black. Grayson doing a nice job peeling up Samayam in that situation. And there's the full kidney on a Samayam, but no CC on a Gorecki whatsoever. Synergy Reborn is looking to win with pure damage in this situation.
And that was Astral Shift committed from Colo. That's his wall cooldown to keep himself alive. And the Stormbolt coming out on him, but he does seem to stabilize a little bit, trying to kite away, but smacks into Samayam right on his tail. Colo needs to top himself back off. Couple healing waves do connect. Looks like he jukes out those kicks. Great job by him. But that was the Vendetta and the Arcane Power from Bean and Grayson committed in that opener to force all those defensive cooldowns. So now they have nothing left for another about 20 or 30 seconds, but the full kidney shot lands onto Samayam. There's the Iron Bark from Gorecki. Samayam about 30% life, catching those heals, catching back up in his life.
Yeah, what an important moment that was for Samayam. He managed to hold on to that blur, so he has that to fall back onto, and now the Chaos Nova into the Stormbolt onto Colo. Colo's doing a good job with his mana, purging out Samayam when they do decide to get aggressive, but he needs to keep himself alive. Vendetta available for Bean, commits it onto Samayam, but Samayam, he trinkets out. He has that blur available as well. He's just going to be kiting away back to Gorecki, completely fine in this situation, and Smexon still just tearing into Colo, making sure he's pressured throughout this entire game.
And the Ascendance fades from Colo as well, so that's really his last line of defense besides that Spirit Link Totem. Colo trying to get some heals off. There's the Vendetta committed from Bean as well, trying to get any type of counter pressure. The full kidney shot lands now onto Samayam. He has no trinket, but there's no CC onto Gorecki. Gorecki just doing a great job line of sighting, but Colo getting very low. Astral Shift using it as a line of defense to survive. Does get interrupted there on that healing wave, has the Spirit Link and barely gets it off.
Oh, able to survive those executes coming in from Smexon. Demon Form committed by Samayam as they connect over onto Colo, but Samayam having to play a little bit defensive. He's kind of scared. Full blind onto Gorecki. He can trinket out of it. He does. Full kidney shot onto Samayam. Iron Bark still not traded out. Samayam's going to be very hard to take down if he just decides to play defensive and run away and kite. He still has the darkness available to him, and Colo is running out of time. At any moment, Samayam can sort of tag in and try to take Colo down, and eventually he does. That strategy coming in from Method Black, very solid. They're able to just keep that pressure on Colo. Samayam can kite away because he's on the...
Of Samayam is such a short cooldown, you will always have that back for the Vendetta, whereas if you go on the Warrior, you have that die by the sword.
Now, Tilted is the team formerly known as Splice. We haven't seen them in this top 8 just yet. This is a very powerful team. They have the Windwalker DK with Chun-Li. They bring in the Destro Warlock of Thugonomics. They have Novos healing, and then Valido to come in on that Death Knight whenever they need it. Then the next match will be Fairly Caustic versus the Rejects. And depending on what happens there, two teams will be knocked down to play against Method Orange and Method Black. Not exactly